there was a talk on orphan care. A woman called Elizabeth from Saddleback who was in country, and as she talked, I was like, I wanted to scream and just shut up, she just grabbed my heart, and it was just my story. It was exactly what I needed to be doing. I actually ran out several times. It was just like overwhelming for me, the whole talk. But I thought, anyway, I can do it. Nobody will stop me from making a difference for the orphans in this country. Because also the government of Rwanda had understood that children get hurt in orphanages, and Rwanda wanted children to be in families. So the peace plan was asked if they could help by mobilizing the faith sector to help with that. I began volunteering and going to orphanages, going to families, going to churches, talking about God's heart for the orphan. Elizabeth and the guys from Saddleback came several times. I translated, so I got to know the material somehow through translating, and it just became my message. And so then I stayed with the peace plan. I got hired from then. So our role was really mostly to educate and to train and to encourage and to challenge, and we've seen success through that. The church rose up to want to do that, and many church members have benefited children in their families, and children have found their families, and orphanage premises are doing other things to serve our communities. So there is a lot of shift, and the shift is still happening. There is an orphanage here in Rwanda, and I won't say its name, but it's well done, you know. Kids, they have like 10 kids per mother, you know. And I was like, this orphanage should remain because it's beautiful done, it gives a sense of family. So I'm like, Rwanda wants us to be 0 orphanages, but I think that orphanage should remain. So I decided, let me talk to kids. And one of the boys told me, I really wish I would know what it feels like to have a mother that is not paid to be my mother. And it hit me. I realized, oh, okay, you know, I can stay up because my son is out late, and I'm thinking, is he said da, 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 and I will open the gate, and nobody pays me for that. You know, I can look for food, and I'm like, this boy has a serious reason. You know, what does it feel like to know mother, sacrificial ways of a mother, and he's never had that. He knows that this mother makes a list of food and somebody organ. It's an institution, you know, and I'm like, even though it looks beautiful, this child still has really lost significantly. So really, my belief is diverse, you know. It has to do with who I am as Rwandan. We know kids belong to families. We know family is very key for us. It's my faith. I see in my Bible that I read, and what God instructs is that God puts the lonely in families. But it's also a bit of science with my limited education that I've read to see institution kind of takes away from the identity of the child, creates some confusion, and the family is a natural kind of setup. When we try to translate the word adoption, we can't really find the translation for that. But from the beginning in the Rwandan culture, we love children. That's not a question. We know children belong to a family. That's within the culture value. But in terms of the word adoption, it's a kind of foreign, you know. So it makes sense that children can come live in your family, but they kind of remain an orphan. You know? So so it's very normal and very common to say, oh, I have my 3 biological children and 5 orphans that I've raised. You know, it's common. So that is shifting, and you will find many families who say, I have 3 biological children or children born in my womb and children born out of my heart, So it's like shifting, and it's like they are all my children. It's not some who are children and some who are orphans just staying with us. And many people are changing their thinking, and they're realizing because the child has been an orphan, they don't have to remain an orphan forever. They can become a child in their new families. It was one thing to have the passion and the burden and the conviction that children belong to families, but it was another thing when children came to families to know how to parent them, So TBRI has really helped, especially families who have adopted or who are fostering children who went through orphanages, especially that most of our children came to our families a bit older. So they came with a lot of loss and a lot of woundedness, and it was like overwhelming for parents, and you like, oh, my child, I feed him as much as I can, but he still steals food and it's under the bed. Like, what do I do with that? So, and someone says like, so in this culture, we still believe in spanking. But we know you can't spank already scared children, already mistrusting children, So that's like the new kind of skills, kind of talk, And, having support groups for us as parents, it's just like admitting, okay, I want this, my heart is willing, but sorry, I get confused about the work, so I need somebody else to help me. And so I'm like, I can't cope with rotten bananas, under the bed, or, wetting the bed, like, all kinds of things that parents need to learn to help this child who is struggling come from that to thriving. So that's really the shift. TBRI really helped like bring the context, bring the understanding, give the parents grace to know how to treat and parent and love their children in their brokenness. Yeah, so that has helped a lot. There is a big difference between parents who have gone through TBRI and parents who have not. Because the government has asked us to work primarily in Kibuye, that's where we got more people. And now we have parents and lay social workers moving from Kibuye to other parts of Rwanda to train, So some people are like, oh, this is overwhelming, this is too difficult. And some parents in Kibuye go like, it's not as it is difficult, but it's not as difficult as you think. And they're beginning to go to other churches to train, So I feel like it's an ongoing kind of a beautiful transformation in our country, through parenting, through loving the vulnerable children. There's something education just does, adds on you and prepares you to serve better. We know it can also alienate you, you become proud, but it can also equip you to serve. So, you have TBRI as a focus within your Child Development Institute. I know that from being a parent of that. And I can tell you we need it in Rwanda. We need it. So, yeah, you can go and we link arms and continue to see how we can spread it all over this country. Yeah.